Good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 20th day of November 2018. Well, 2 is a day of balance. 20 reduces to 2, so about balance and polarity and all of that, which we might have a little struggle with today, given that it's a Tuesday and Mars energy is prevalent today, but maybe we can use it, intentionally to invoke alignment within, get us in the mood and in the mode for Thursday if we're traveling to see family, in case that's a difficult experience. So take a deep breath. Maybe they will too. Anyhow, let's get going on this today. I'm going to talk about a salve thing I did yesterday, a salve recipe I made, and I'm going to show it to you. Here it is. It's going to be on the blog later today, so if you want to check that out. I took pictures and everything, so I'll tell you how I made it. But we'll get going in this, and then we'll talk a little bit about that. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. Well, we have the Fool. That's always fun. Undeveloped potential. Anything can happen. Trust the process. It's a 0 card. The very first card. Sometimes they put it at the end. I don't really know why. It is the Fool's journey, basically. And the Major Arcana describes that, with the minor cards and the court cards sort of giving even more information about that journey. But here he is with his dog, with his knapsack over his shoulder, and he's ready to take that leap into life and into manifestation. I always look at the 0 as indicating unity consciousness, so he hasn't forgotten yet. In a sense, he's up above the clouds, up above the veil, and he's about to take that leap in through the veil into the forgetting of who he is as the creator of all that is. So very cool. Let's see what the rune says. Well, let's just do one more look-see on the in the grimoire. Yeah, it's just infinite creative potential, and just have no expectations. Just see what happens. Stop trying to control. Themes for Thursday. Or you can do like my husband and I are doing and just hide out. Go nowhere. All right. Well, we have Ansu's. Again, Ansu's now is, I believe, the 4th rune of the Elder Futhark. Yes. And it's known as Odin's rune. You can see it's comprised, if you took the bottom little line out of it, you would see Laguz. But this is Ansu's. And it's basically the voice of spirit, the voice of well, as Odin's rune, it'd be the voice of the god, basically. But the voice of source within. But it's about communication. And it's about letting spirit inform that process of communication. So as we come together with family on Thursday, or over the weekend, if you're going to spend some time together, remember that how we communicate with one another matters. There was a thing on, and I can't think of his name, but he wrote this great book, and it's actually several books, and I can't think of his name, but I saw him on Montel years ago. And I bought the book even, and I wrote down this phrase, and I'm going to butcher it completely. But what it had to do with, it's not just beware that you offend someone, but be most aware that you take offense to what they say. don't take offense to anything. Don't just let it roll off. And uh, because when you do that, then things just tend to flow better. Yeah, I mean, if somebody's really insulting, that's one thing. But sometimes people just, say things and they don't really mean to. And so it's something about beware lest ye offend, but be more aware lest you take offense or something like that. Anyhow, I'm sure someone watching will know what that is and will put it in the comments. It's like, yeah, it was this, and I hope you do because that was just such an interesting. I think it was a Hawaiian concept, maybe, if I remember right. This is a long time ago that I saw this, but just the notion that if you, it's bad enough if you might be offensive to somebody, but it's even worse if you take offense. It's almost like you get stuck when we do that, don't you? And again, it's not allowing for the undeveloped potential of the moment to continue. Everything is in the now. Everything is being created in the now. If we judge, if we do any of that, if we take offense to something, then we get spiritually stuck there, and we can't move on. We hang on to hurt. We hang on to all of this stuff. And so this week, maybe we can recognize the undeveloped potential of this week, where we may be able to come together with friends and family in a way that's positive and loving and supportive, and just, catch up, what you guys been doing, that kind of stuff. Um, and then use on Suze to channel that higher self energy into the moment so that you can stay in that loving resonance, that loving vibration when you're around people that maybe drive you crazy. Because let's face it, we are who we are. We're humans. We're not perfect. We might do things that annoy our family, but recognize that we're all that person. There's always going to be things about one another that we're not particularly thrilled with, but sometimes we just put it aside for the sake of the family and the greater experience of coming together. It's almost like being the fourth rune of the Elder Futhark. Ansu's provides all of the structure that we need to go forward in life, to constantly let higher self inform that process. So it's interesting anyway. Yeah, I'm glad we're going to be alone this weekend. It's going to be better, I think. But then that's kind of how we are anyway. We're kind of, I've always been a solitary oriented witch. I've never belonged to a coven. So trying to be around people in great numbers is hard for me. So I just don't. It's too much being empathic and everything. It's difficult because I feel all that energy and I'm never sure how to process it. There's just too much coming in on at me all at once. So it's better if I stay home. Anyhow, this is the salve that I made last night. And you can see it's kind of got a golden color to it. Had I just used the Thai pepper and cayenne pepper mix that I have with plain coconut oil, then it would be red. But because I use cannabis-infused coconut oil, it's got this, it blends the colors, and so now it's sort of a golden color. I didn't use very much turmeric, maybe about 3/4 of a teaspoon. This is not a cup, so I'm not sure exactly how much. I know I used more than half a cup of coconut oil, of the cannabis-infused coconut oil. I know I used that, but it was just like, okay, I'll throw a little more in. Okay, a little more, a little more. But I think I used a couple of teaspoons of was it teaspoons? Yes, I think I used a couple of teaspoons of the Thai and cayenne pepper blend. I used about like I said, 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric, and that I bought that at the store. I had probably a healthy pinch of arnica flower, dried arnica flowers. Again, another anti-inflammatory. Also, arnica is good for pain. little bit of lavender flower. I was going to do some lavender essential oil in it, but I thought, why don't I just use, I had some lavender flower in the kitchen, so I just used it. And I just put a little bit in. I didn't use very much. And then maybe, oh, and then I used, there was a couple, I have some dried red clover in the kitchen, and I grabbed a couple of red clover blossoms for that as well, just to have like a little soothing aspect to it. But yeah, I mean, what I was trying to do was just get something that I could rub onto my elbow when it's achy, because there's still damage in it. And even though I've been doing comfrey poultices of late on it, I still, if I overuse it, I've been crocheting like crazy. So I don't know. I guess it just hurts the elbow, and plus right here on this part of my hand, this starts to ache a lot. I have this finger here is got a lot of nodules on it. In 2007, this guy, we had this motorcycle shop, and he wasn't a customer yet. His bike was actually over at the dealership. He had gotten it and 2 weeks later wrecked it. And so it was still there, and he was all upset because it's still there. He doesn't understand. It's not like taking a car in for repair. You don't get it back a week later or whatever. It can take months. And at that point, parts were on national back order with the motor company, and it just wasn't happening, right? So unless you're willing to pay extra money to have chrome stuff put on or whatever and substitute something, you're going to have to wait. And that's what he was experiencing. Finally, he did that. I suggested it, and finally he did it. But that particular day, he was angry because I couldn't make this go away for him. And I don't know why he thought I could, but I don't know. I guess I come across that way. I don't know. But anyway, as he was leaving, now he knew how ill I was, because I wasn't in remission at that time. And I spent 13 years being extremely ill. It went from like 0 to like 1 million, and I was severe for 13 years, and it was awful. And in fact, I'm not even sure, if it hadn't been for the cannabis, I don't think I'd be here now. But in any event, he shook my hand to leave, and he grabbed it and he shook it. He crushed it, and I felt something go in this finger. And then my husband walked in the room, and he didn't leave. And then and then when he finally did, he was gonna shake my hand again, and I pulled it back and I went, no. And he got this half smile on his face. And I knew when he shook my hand that he did it intentionally. He was angry, and so he took it out on me. For 3 years, my finger was 3 times this size. Okay. I mean, it was huge, it was all swollen, would never go down. And then one day it just went down, swelling went down, and not all of it, but some of it did. And it left a bunch of, nodules in its place. Well, the doctor tried to do something with it, inject it, but there's really nothing you can do. The problem is you've got really small blood vessels in your fingers, and also nerves. And so in order to drain something like that, you have to have a needle that's fairly good size. And you can't, because you're probably going to damage something. And so the needle, when he stuck the needle in there to try to drain it, nothing came out. And so what they did was they just shot it up with some cortisone stuff, but it didn't heal the finger. And so now this is what the finger looks like. So it's all bent, and and I can't. This is as much as I can bring it down, and and so if I flip someone off, it's an interesting look. But anyway, it's kind of bent and gnarly. So, but I'm a witch, so it works. But anyway, I just have these issues, and it's nice when I can, even though I'm in remission now. Because you have to use your hands to do things, and you use your arms and everything. So it creates tension and pressure and resistance and all of that. So I get a little bit of inflammation in it. So it's nice to use something like this just to rub on those areas and when I'm crocheting like a mad woman. And I got to tell you, my arm still feels good. And I put it on a little while ago when we went on our walk. And anyhow, I'm going to write it up on the blog, like I say, and you can go over there and read it and see how I did it and make some yourself. It's a great way to just deal with sore muscles, or if you do have arthritis, you can use it on your sore and swollen and inflamed joints, and just to help. You know, anything helps when you're hurting. So I know I was in excruciating pain 24/7 for 13 years. It was horrible. Not anymore. Now it's just when I do things to myself. Anyway, so I guess that's it for today. It's going to be a short day today. I'm not going to be here until next Monday. I'm going to take the rest of the week off. I just got stuff to do to get this whole turkey thing going. Anyhow, be good to yourself. Align in Ansu's, align in the Fool. Recognize everyone's undeveloped potential to be so much better than we are. And don't think that it can go the other way. We're going to think positive, okay? So anyhow, be good to yourself. Be good to everyone else. And blessed be. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we'll see you Monday.